Stellar Blade. It's currently sitting at an 81 overall Metacritic with a 9.2 user score. By that definition, that means most people love the game, but that doesn't mean everyone does. So welcome back to a series that I like to call Bad Reviews for Good Games. And today we're taking a look at what the haters have to say about Stellar BBL. Our first negative review comes from Facehugger22, who goes on to say 4 out of 10 because it feels like a game from 2008. Extremely stupid level design where they should have excluded all open world aspects. And to that I say, first and foremost, I think you contradicted yourself because you complain that it's a 2008 game, but then you also complain about all the open world aspects, which I'd argue that's more of a modern day game problem. In 2008, open world games were still fairly new, so like it was much more rare to see one back then. So you kind of contradicted yourself with those two statements. That being said, let's entertain it. Let's act like this is a 2008 designed game, right? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the 2008? Like that, you're basically implying any old game fucking sucks. Let's see. Best games of 2008. We got Grand Theft Auto 4, Gears of War 2, Dead Space, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Metal Gear Solid 4. This is just a few of them. Saints Row 2, a classic. Devil May Cry 4. Did y'all like Devil May Cry 4? I don't remember. A lot of games came out in 2008 that were great. Animal Crossing, City Folk, Spider-Man Webs of Shadow. They still use that meme at the beginning of Spider-Man Webs of Shadow where he's walking across the building and there's total chaos. They use that meme all the time. What are you talking about? It's a 2008 design game. Now, if there's something specifically about the game you don't like, that's fine. Please specify it. But if you're gonna give something a 4 out of 10, you need to be more specific, because just saying exclude the open world aspect, this is a 2008 game, you kind of contradicted yourself. This review doesn't make any sense to me. And our next negative review comes from Omarta, who gave Stellar Blade a 2 out of 10. Goes on to say something that looks like it was in French, so I went ahead and threw it in Google Translate. And according to our friend over in France, they say Stellar Blade is a tasteless game that technically has too many shortcomings and a lot of technical aspects such as textures and resolution, which has a blurry rendering. And this is interesting because you went as far as to give the game a 2 out of 10. A 2 out of 10 is a game that doesn't work. Like, to me, there's like a threshold in terms of quality. If the game is functional, to me, at bare minimum, it's at least a 5. After that, when you get into the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 range, we're talking about how fun it is. Giving it a 2 out of 10 is fucking crazy. And then on top of that, you don't even say anything about the gameplay. You're just crying about the visuals. But let's talk about what you actually said. You said the game is blurry. I'm playing on performance mode on my PS5. The game is one of the best looking PS5 games of the year. It's one of the best looking games of the year. Like, what are you talking about? The environment, some of them are like very vibrant. What are you talking about? This game looks great. The textures and the resolution. I think you're somebody, maybe like an Xbox fanboy or something like that. Once again, you're allowed to dislike the game, but come on, cut the fucking cap, dude. Cap, we're calling cap on this review. Our next negative review comes from KrazB3, who gave Stellar Blade a 4 out of 10. And they go on to say, the third act took an enjoyable game and made it so much like a Souls-like that the last few hours of it ruined the entire experience. And to that I say, I know what he's talking about. Towards the end of the game, there is a difficulty spike. So basically this man said this game is awful because he, in fact, is awful at the game and he couldn't adapt. Ladies and gentlemen, we've detected our first skill issue. Our next negative review comes from Moki1, who gave it a 0 out of 10. I think this review's bullshit, but I'll entertain it. This game is rushed. Also, enemies are not optimized. They are slowpoke and poor damage. Game doesn't reward combat depth. You gave it a 0 out of 10 and you said the game felt rushed. Didn't go into details, but you said the game felt rushed. But then you go on to say in a later sentence that the game doesn't reward combat depth. You see how you contradicted yourself? It either has depth or it doesn't. Make up your mind. Also, the game is completely optimized. This game runs at 60 FPS on PS5 in the optimal mode. So like, I don't know what he's talking about. The characters are slow and do poor damage. Are you complaining that they swing too slow and they don't do enough damage? Because if that's the case, then why not just play with the nude suit in the game? It makes the game hard. Basically put the game on hard. And then if you beat it, put it on even harder with the new game plus. They have an actual hard mode. Plus you can take your clothes off and make the game even harder. I don't think this person played the game. And this is why I said Metacritic needs to start adding verified purchases where you can connect your Steam account or, you know, your Best Buy account, wherever you can buy games. You should be able to connect them all to Metacritic so people can verify your purchases. Because Monkey1, I don't think you played the game, my boy. This sounds like a crack of shit. Our next negative review comes from, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, but Geo Kim, who gives Stellar Blade a a 2 out of 10, and I believe he left a review in Korean, so I went ahead and got into that Google Translate, and according to Google Translate, it says, the game is old-fashioned. I feel like I'm stuck in 2102 Blade Soul. Those of you who have experienced Blade Soul may have wanted to try it at least once for memories. However, it would be better to buy it used rather than paying full price. First of all, you said the game feels old, like it's stuck. Maybe this is a mistranslation, but stuck in 2102? My boy, are you a time traveler? What do you mean? Are you from the future? Are you feeling the future? And then he said Blade Soul. I think this is a mistranslation too. I think he meant Blade and Soul, which if that's the case, especially because this is a Korean published game, this was an MMO. This was a martial arts based MMO. I remember this one. Like, it had a moment in the US for like a year where it was like popular, and then it kind of fell by the wayside. So I'm taking an educated guess he means that Stellar Blade is like Blade and Soul. If that's the case, that's completely untrue. The structure is completely different. Stellar Blade is an action adventure game that draws from elements like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, and then like some Souls games, sort of like Sekiro with like the counter system and stuff like that. Blade and Soul, and 2102, I know a time traveler when I see one. You're entitled to your opinion, but a 2 out of 10 is a little extreme for me. Our next negative review comes from Junsen Kaio 7, who gives Stellar Blade a 0 out of 10, and they go on to say, the good, fun combat if you don't count dodging, surprisingly approachable, if ridiculously over the top fishing minigame. The bad, the worst platforming ever included in a video game, the worst dialogue ever included in a video game, awful voice acting to bring the said dialogue home, a ridiculous, transparent, and derivative plot, and a nigh unbearable soundtrack, profoundly stupid monster. God damn, bro. Sentence structure. The ugly, the design of every female character, including one presenting as a teen with a speaking role, is deeply disturbing. The jiggle physics and running animations make the horror even worse. I'm confused though, because you said the good is the combat is fun. You don't like the dodging, but overall you think the combat is fun, so why'd you give it a 0? If there's something you like in the game, you didn't even talk about the visuals or the performance, but if there's something you like in the game, at bare minimum, I would think that you would give it a 1. This is why I say it's important to read the reviews, because he said some positive things about the game, but for some reason he still gave it a 0. Very interesting and emotional response. Now, where I do agree with you is, yeah, the voice acting is horrible, the dialogue, like the writing isn't the best, and the plot is not always the most understandable. I get the gist of it, but sometimes it's not always the most understandable. The stupid monster designs, I don't agree with that. I think the monsters are cool. Like, it's a futuristic setting, it's fine. You're allowed to dislike the game. I just don't understand where you got the 0, and this is one of the main reasons why I do this series, to kind of highlight what people actually said. And what was said was one big ass run-on jilted sentence that just kind of contradicted, didn't make any goddamn sense. I don't understand where you got the 0. That's why I like doing this shit. Our next negative review comes from Meyer Park, who gives Stellar Blade a 0 out of 10, and they go on to say, this is the worst action game. Enemy AI is kind of slow and very easy to react to and counter. It's like a kid's entry to hack and slash games. Enemies attacks are very slow, and there's still no grading to your combat, no score rank at the end of the mission. Meh. It doesn't even really seem like you hate the game, so where does the 0 come from? It seems like your biggest issue with this game is the fact that it's not exactly what you want it to be. And a telltale sign is you said there's no grading to your combat, no score rank at the end of each mission. This is an open world game, so I feel like it'd be kind of harder to do a score rank. It's not linear like Devil May Cry and like Bayonetta. And that's what he wants this to be. He wants it to be like those games, so he's scoring it to be a 0 when it's more of a combination of a bunch of different things. But I don't think they could have done that because of the open world aspects, all the side quests. Like, how do you grade the combat? Do you do it long term or short term? Maybe you could do a grade after like a major boss fight, or even the minor boss fights as well too, like the mini bosses. But overall, I just don't agree with this. You're allowed to dislike it, but giving a game a 0 out of 10 because it's too easy and it's not what you want it to be versus what it was intended to be, I just can't agree with that, man. I can't agree with that. Our next review comes from Logic Never Works, who gave the game a 4 out of 10, and he goes on to say, overall, it's a fun action game. Definitely not worth the full price though. Wait for a sale and you'll have a good time. If you don't have any complaints other than the price tag, why did you give it a 4 out of 10? At least based off what you said, you should probably give it at least a 7 or an 8. Just wait till the price drops. But I guess I don't even know why I'm thinking about this so damn hard. I just realized this man's name is Logic Never Works. I feel like I just read that out loud, but I didn't register. I think this dude's a troll. Once again, can you guys guys, please implement verified purchases so we know whether or not people played it, because there's no logic behind this. And then this name, I think this dude is just trolling. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just yapping. So our next review is gonna come from Nick Allen on Google Reviews, who gives the game a 2 out of 5 stars. And they go on to say, feels like an arcade game, looks like an arcade game, plays like an arcade game, sounds like an arcade game. Oh, and you can't skip cutscenes. That's an awful lot of quarters to spend on an arcade game. You don't go into an arcade because you're addicted to a game, maybe in the 80s. And to that I say, I've read this 3 times. I don't know what the fuck point you're trying to make, dude. What are you talking? What are you talking about, dude? I don't like, what do you mean it feels like an arcade? Look, it is an arcade game. It's an arcade action game. Like what point are you trying to make, dude? Just say you don't like the game and keep it moving. This gotta be one of the goofiest. This man wrote a sonnet. This man wrote a horrible sonnet as a review, boy. I give your sonnet a 2 out of 5. How about that? John David gave Stellar Blade a 1 out of 5, and they go on to say, this game has objectively fun combat and amazing graphics, but the actual story itself seems to be lacking. The sex appeal of a character never mattered to me, especially when playing a video game, but I think it was disingenuous to do the bait and switch regarding censorship. That being said, I think some gamers are way in too deep when it comes to sexual things. It really shouldn't be this big of a debate, and there's no need to hype up a game that's average at best to get back at whatever political agenda they think is uglifying women. That's a fair take. That's a fair take. I'll give you that. The only thing I don't agree with is, why the fuck did you give it a 1 out of 5? You said this game is horrible. You said this game has objectively fun combat and amazing graphics. So the game is great. You just thought the story was lacking. You didn't even say it was horrible. You said it was lacking. Let me tell y'all something, ladies and gentlemen. Words have meaning. When you say something is lacking, it means it has some pros to it, but it probably has more cons to it. But that doesn't mean it's the worst thing ever. But also, you said that the combat and the graphics are amazing. So you gave it a 1 out of 5 what? Because people are arguing about the sexiness after you claim that you don't even care about it? This is why I said it's important to read the reviews, and it's also important to verify purchases. Also, I'm confused because 10 people found this review to be helpful. Christopher gives Stellar Blade a 1 out of 5, and he goes on to say, I don't know where to begin. So far, I'm a solid hour into the gameplay, and it just goes all over the place. And you know what? I'm gonna stop reading your review right there and disregard it and give your review a 1 out of 5, because you couldn't even play more than an hour before you rated it. 2 people found this helpful? What a disingenuous argument. You got people out here dropping 1 out of 5s, dropping full reviews based off an hour of gameplay. You didn't even fucking play the game. But I guarantee you, you would be upset if I didn't read the, and I'm not gonna read the rest of it to prove a point. You would be upset if I didn't read the rest of your, you just disregarded, yeah, I disregarded because you didn't play the game. There's like 4 skill trees you didn't even unlock. You didn't even fill out the skill trees that you had. I think you start with like 3. You didn't even fill those ones out. You didn't even unlock the rest of the skill trees. You didn't see any of the cool abilities. I don't even think you made it to the open world. You were still like in the tutorial area, probably getting your ass beat. And that's why we beating your ass on your review. I'm reviewing your review, and your review sucks, Christopher. And our next review comes from CK, who gave the game a 2 out of 5, and he goes on to say, you don't need to read the reviews. Try the demo for yourself. All the 5-star reviews are from the developer's employees, which is like, what's your evidence of that? Like, it's okay if you don't like the game, but you can't say everybody who likes this game is just a developer, because by that logic, I'm a developer. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Also, I'm gonna null and void your review because I don't even think you played the game. I think you played the demo. That's why you're telling everybody else, just try the demo. 2 out of 5. That's not the fucking game. This is supposed to be reviews of the game, not reviews of the demo. And the scariest thing about these reviews is not these stupid reviews themselves. It's the people that like this shit. 9 people found this helpful. There are 9 people out there, 10 in total, who believe, and there's probably more, who believe if you enjoy Stellar Blade, it's because you are a developer on the game. So ladies and gentlemen, according to this guy, as well as the 9 other people, whoever, if you're watching this and you enjoy the game, your and I name should be in the developer credits. Maybe we could patch it in because we're all just corporate shills. And that's what the haters had to say about Stellar Blade. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And while you do that, click the card on the screen and that'll take you to my video on Marvel Rivals. That is Marvel's new Overwatch competitor, and I like the game, but it's got some problems. So I made a shit I don't like video where I bitch about that game and what I don't like in a very comedic manner. And if you want to check it out, click the card on the screen. Why are you looking at me wave my finger like Sonic the Hedgehog?